Letters.
On hurricanes, Brexit, Turkey, Richard Posner, Myanmar and diamonds.
The hurricane season.
From D. Orlando Smith, Premier and Finance Minister, Road Town, British Virgin Islands. There is no question that the British Virgin Islands are on the front line of climate change, alongside our neighbours in the Caribbean, article Paradise Lost, September 16th. Irma was particularly ferocious, perhaps a sign of the increased intensity of such storms to come. Since Irma hit, the government of the BVI has worked tirelessly to provide food, shelter, water and power. Our tourism infrastructure will take time to rebuild, but we have made considerable strides towards returning to business as usual in the financial services sector. Britain has pledged short-term aid, which is welcome, but a longer-term reconstruction package will be required to rebuild the BVI in the wake of Irma and now Maria, and we will be looking to work with Britain and other partners to achieve this as rapidly as possible. Patch and mend is not enough. The safety of our people and the sustainability of our economy demands investment in better buildings and more resilient critical infrastructure. There is a collective responsibility for all of us to heed warnings about the threat of climate change.
From Kenrick Leslie, Executive Director, Caribbean Community Climate Change Centre, Belmopan, Belize. The Caribbean Community Climate Change Centre wishes to disassociate itself from the comments attributed to Otis Jocelyn in your article. His statement that Caribbean governments speak a lot about climate change, but their actions leave a lot to be desired, in no way represents the position of the 5 Cs and is the personal opinion of Mr. Jocelyn.
Patrick Minford responds.
From Patrick Minford, Professor of Applied Economics, Cardiff University. You do the message from Minford land some wrong, though thank you for transmitting it, article August 26th. The approach of Economists for Free Trade, which I chair, does not rely solely on unilateral free trade. That is one of the routes for getting to free trade, but we have also supported the route of free trade agreements that is likely to be chosen by Theresa May's government wherever others will cooperate. Non-tariff barriers are a key element in our calculations, and no, we do not ignore quality. Rather, by using detailed quality-adjusted OECD prices, we reach roughly the same estimates of non-tariff barriers that the researchers at the London School of Economics cite for their own work. As for the gravity model, we have examined how well this fits data for Britain compared with our classical model, and there are 2 conclusions. It fits less well, and in fact rather similar policy conclusions about British free trade follow from it. Our suspicion is that the many gravity modellers from around the world evaluated a nonsensical Brexit straw man during the referendum, in order to oppose it. It would be instructive if they, including the Treasury, were to redo their calculations in the light of what we now know to be Brexit policy.
Claims of torture in Turkey.
From Abdurrahman Bilgic, Ambassador of Turkey, London. I totally reject your claims of a brutal crackdown and allegations of the use of torture in Turkey, article Bruised and Battered, September 9th. Turkey is a party to the UN and Council of Europe Conventions on the Prevention of Torture and Ill Treatment. In 2003, we took a stand of zero tolerance against torture. Our success in this policy has been acknowledged by dignitaries from international organisations and people working in the field. All claims of torture and ill treatment are investigated, and Turkey has abolished the statute of limitations for the offence of torture, one of the few countries to do so. Even after last year's coup attempt, it was decreed that any public official found guilty of torture shall be dismissed from public service. The Ministry of Justice established a specific unit to deal with claims of torture and ill treatment. Moreover, we fully cooperate with the UN's Special Rapporteur on Torture and the European Committee for the Prevention of Torture. Therefore, The Economist is cherry-picking to distort Turkey's international cooperation efforts, on the issues of torture and ill treatment. Furthermore, the Fethullah Gulen terrorist organization threatens the integrity of the Turkish state. It works in 150 countries behind a facade of tolerance, dialogue and charity through schools, NGOs, lobbyists, media outlets and companies. What happened in Turkey more than a year ago is a dark reminder of what this organization may be capable of doing. By publishing such an article, you are contributing to its illegitimate endeavours.
On the case.
From Vikrant Reddy, Washington, D.C. Gavel Down, article September 9th, assessed the legal work of Richard Posner, but slightly misquoted his new book. You said that when reaching a judgment, Mr. Posner assesses whether a sensible solution is blocked by some case that judges must obey. But he did not use the word case. He wrote ukase, a Russian term that refers to edicts or pronouncements.
Myanmar's colonial past.
From David Steinberg, Professor Emeritus of Asian Studies, Georgetown University, Washington, D.C. Your article on Indian labour sent abroad in servitude forgot one other region of India where this applied. Burma, article 100 years since servitude, September 2nd. Under the British, Burma was administered as a province of India until 1937. Your omission is understandable, as it could be considered as an internal migration, but both involuntary servitude and opportunistic migration had profound influences on the Burmese economy and on anti-subcontinent sentiment after Burmese independence in 1948, when Burma tried to reclaim its own economy through socialism. Although involuntary servitude helped develop the world's greatest rice bowl in the Irrawaddy Delta, strong ethno-nationalist sentiment prompted the expulsion of hundreds of thousands of Indians and Chinese in the early 1960s. Such anti-Indian sentiments affect negative attitudes towards the Rohingya today.
A gem of a story.
From James Foster, Southampton. Reading about diamonds being readily available elsewhere in the cosmos, article A Hard Rain, August 26th, brought to mind Arthur C. Clarke's 2001 sci-fi series. Europa is discovered to have a mountain entirely made of diamonds, originally from Jupiter's core, and villains plot to mine it in order to destroy South Africa's economy back on Earth. By the year 3001, diamonds have become such a cheap building material that they are used to construct giant skyscrapers that act as elevators between Earth and space.